Good afternoon. It is now 5:02, and I'll call the Master Plan Committee meeting of Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 to order. We have a quorum. The first order of business is attendance roll call, starting with Linda.
Linda Brown. Carol Godzinski.
Dan Mascroft.
Ooh, there's it.
Meg Schlesman.
Mike Swicker.
Ross Smith.
Gordon Larrabee. Rich Preston.
He said,
Bob Moran is here.
Right here, Margaret, right next to me, right in front.
Yeah. He's just out of the room at the moment.
Margaret is here. Margaret Bacon.
and Rebecca.
And Rebecca.
Please run it.
Come on in.
Rebecca LaValle. We're just missing Robert Leonardi.
Yep.
Yep. Thanks.
Oh, Bob Menard.
He's here.
He is.
He's next door.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, it'll be over. Yeah.
Let's see. So if you could, please take a look at the minutes of October 29th.
Drinks if anyone wants one. We had them left over from an open house last night. So.
Hey, Margaret. Your folder?
Okay, good, thank you.
Oh, you want my phone?
Yeah, your folder.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
Take a look at the minutes.
Okay. Take it, Tim.
Yep. Got your name. Looking for a motion?
Yeah. Committee, what say you? If you're ready.
The only edit I see so far would be .3. The RCF, how things will remain the same. I think it was identified that the biggest change would be in the enforcement of
What sentence are you?
halfway down.
Could you read where it
The
begins?
RTF is written to
Oh.
reflect how the town is doing things now and how it will remain the same. I think we did-
In regards to livestock in Douglas, if the right,
Right.
well, how would you like to have it read?
So I think we uncovered a bunch of things that would change things. So I guess at a minimum, say how things would remain the same and how things would
Well,
change.
it says the right to farm is written to reflect, not how we would like to see it. It's written, the way it was written.
Yeah.
We were discussing the way it was written,
Right.
about how it would, things would remain the same in town as they are now.
You got to understand, too, these are the minutes of the meeting, not what
Yeah.
we found out since then. So this is what we discussed at the meeting.
At the meeting,
Yeah,
right. So I was asking what the differences were, and she said there would be a difference. The differences
Who did you
are
ask?
The two people that were presented.
That's right, you were.
I remember
You drove them
The
pretty
new-
good, actually.
The nuisance,
Yeah, you
it
did.
was about the nuisance, right? Yeah, the nuisance, that was going to be different.
The whole enforcement protocol.
Yeah.
It's changing.
You were,
Yes.
that was going to be different.
That probably was later on, where it says many questions were asked. Yeah, I could add it somewhere in here.
I mean, that's what I came away with, how Linda wrote it, like, nothing's changing. Why do we even need this damn thing? That was my consensus.
Because the Board of Health was gonna, had started doing stuff that was gonna limit, and that's why
To
it
limit
started.
them.
To limit people who had livestock, yeah.
Okay, so we're saying, so it does change things, or it does not change things?
Well, I can add in what she said. I'll have to look at the tape and see, I'll write in what she said.
So, yeah, if you think it's important, especially where you were speaking to it, but obviously the minutes are not a verbatim record. It's-
Yeah, I can't write everything.
It's the salient points,
Yeah, it's just,
and you made some good points, of
just a
course.
summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, or else it would be 30 pages.
Any other thoughts? Corrections?
Well, I'd make the motion, but I wrote it, so somebody else is going to.
You can't make reference to the video coverage. You just say make reference to where it just says kind of many questions. It's a little vague, but
You could, sure.
and you just say reference the meeting video for more detail.
Well, I'd have to write that in every minute. I mean.
No, I'm just saying where there's a question and we can't
If he
really.
wants me to add it, and I can do it.
Yeah.
Should we just wait and have a look at the tape again?
Well, I'll write what the presenter, I don't know if it was,
Yeah,
which
but that would-
one
it's a-
said it.
It's a good idea. It would be a disclaimer for all our minutes at the very bottom to say, please reference the video on YouTube or what have you if you have any, if you're looking for further
Okay.
information.
Could we put the link in the minutes?
That's a lot. You're asking a lot of.
The YouTube link is ridiculous.
Typed on
It's one of
Word.
those.
I mean, at a library.
It doesn't have a short link, unfortunately. It's got one of those ridiculous,
Mile long.
yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just go into YouTube and I type in the committee and
Yeah.
it comes right up.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
did that today with the Stormwater Committee. I put Douglas Stormwater Committee, such as the date, and it came right up.
And I was working on the library stuff today, and that's why I'm like,
You're going to say for like
And you have to go
more
into the town's
detail,
website to do that,
What
John?
link?
No, just go right,
No.
I just opened up YouTube.
just go to YouTube and then.
You don't even have to
Oh, that's
go to
a lot
the town
easier.
website. Yeah.
That's what you do in your
Oh,
free
yeah,
time,
that's
John?
right.
and,
Well, I had to do the minutes of the
All right,
Stormwater.
oh, okay.
and each,
Never find it
I
on
know.
there.
and each committee's got its own, each committee has its own playlist,
My
But
God.
it's not put there until days later.
but each
This is the
committee,
only committee I know that could go off the rails looking at minutes. It's fun, but...
It's a skill.
Well, you need a gavel, Rich.
No, he does not.
So we're...
Motion to approve the minutes.
Motion made by Bob to approve the minutes as amended,
Yes, as amended.
Second.
seconded by Bob and Bob. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Oh, you recused.
One abstention.
Two.
Two abstentions.
Two abstentions, thank you. Phew, okay. Next. So we'd like to move on to item 3, quarterly reporting, monthly reimbursement. Bob, did you have anything you wanted to?
Yeah, the monthly reimbursement was delayed this month because Finance Director had a medical condition where she was not available to sign warrants. I submitted it about 3 hours ago. I did not CC CMRPC or us, or especially you and all the townspeople yet. But after the meeting, I'll do that.
Thank you.
But it was submitted today.
All right. And thank you for all you do in that regard, with all the filing, keeping us out of trouble, basically. Anyone have any questions for Bob? Okay. What I'd like to do is take some of our agenda items out of order. I'd like to, with your permission, skip to 5. We do have a guest, and we like to take them early so they're not languishing in the audience too long, T-double-O long. So we'd like to invite Chris Pupka to join us. He's the assessor, and he's going to be enlightening us and giving us some further information on industrial state forest.
Mr. John?
We'll squeeze in over here.
Your microphone, yeah.
How about that? I'll keep on moving down.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome. So, John, I know you invited Chris.
Yeah, so I invited Chris here because after our last meeting, I had a conversation with him in the office the following day, because there's some questions as far as why there is industrial underlying zoning on the northwest part of town, when a lot of it is also state forest land. So Chris gave an explanation, which I, couldn't fully communicate to the board, so I invited him to come here and explain it in person, because he can explain it a lot better than I can.
What I don't know is the history of how the state forest zoning area came to be. If I made an educated guess by looking at it, it would be the initial state forest purchase, and they had zoning match what the state forest had acquired. The state Commonwealth has acquired a lot more land in the northwest corner, although there's still 1,000-ish acres that are privately owned. One owner owns a significant portion of that, and that's still all zoned industrial. I believe the question was, why did we leave it as industrial? There's no access to it directly. I guess there's no harm leaving it industrial, I think was the conversation I had with John. There's, I guess, potential access through Cliff Street and between Webster and Oxford, and possibly off of Northwest Main. The town has a large parcel that abuts the privately owned land off of Northwest Main.
And there also is there's some industrial development up in the corner currently, correct?
Off of Cliff Street there is, yes, yep. I'm not sure what they do up there, but there is 2 or 3 buildings that are occupied for industrial use.
One's a valve distributor.
I'm sorry?
Valve.
Okay.
Big Valve's a distributor.
Okay.
And 2 of the buildings are vacant.
I knew there was talk at one point of somebody else moving up there from Pine. Mm-hmm. So that would be, the type of business that could utilize that unused land, because they would be digging. I mean, their operation would be something like that, as opposed to something that required, water, sewer, or anything like that, which is not available up there. I think the other question was, as the state acquires land out there, is it worth more being zoned industrial or zoned? Is that state forest zoning? From the assessment standpoint, it doesn't change a lot. I'm not sure if I can ask John what restrictions, what's allowed in the state forest zone?
Oh,
guessing nothing.
not a lot.
Nothing.
Not a lot.
I don't think
Which,
Yeah.
which,
It may be passive recreation at most, yeah.
so from the assessment standpoint, when the state acquires land that previously taxable, they take the assessed value of the land when they acquire it. If we were to do anything with the zoning to make it into something that renders all the land useless, economically, I would have to assess that at useless land, not just backland where we're at now, which is still pretty low at, $7,000 or $8,000 an acre, but it would be essentially worthless. And at that point, as the state acquired more land, if the state acquires more land, we would lower the level for the amount of reimbursement from the state. So I think what I expressed to John when we had the conversation is there's no harm leaving it industrial. There's a long shot, but there is a somewhat viable way to get access for somebody if they wanted to develop that land, and be an economic. But it doesn't hurt if if we leave it as industrial and the state continues to acquire it. If they acquire everything or effectively everything, I would say revisit it then. It's my opinion is to revisit moving that zoning then, lining it up with that. Tangentially, I ran into an issue in my previous position in Oxford. They have the Army Corps of Engineer land, and when they acquired all that land in the 50s, the town created a Army Corps of Engineer or floodplain zone, and they weren't perfect, and they overlapped onto some parcels that were not owned by the United States government, and those people's rights were severely restricted because they encroached beyond the land that was taken for the dam. And the zoning really did nothing almost similar to the state land because you can't do anything on it anyway. The Army Corps of Engineers is not going to let you they're probably more restrictive than the state forest. They won't let you put a driveway across the floodplain. They won't let you do anything. So it's almost can shoot yourself in the foot if you expand the zoning of that beyond. So that was just my common sense explanation having the conversation with John.
Thanks, Chris. Does anyone have any questions?
Well, it's not exactly a question, but I can tell you how the state forest overlay came into being. The last master plan, we looked at it and we said, well, we should, have this as a state forest overlay to, show where it is. And so that is what we did. Then the assessor at the time, a couple of assessors, I think, before you, said to me, why did you do that? Well, because it's state forest. She goes, the state bases our reimbursement on what the overlaying district is, and now you've made the land worthless. Not that we get a whole lot from it to begin with, but, we don't want to get anything less, so I think we just leave it right alone and don't do that again.
It probably didn't hurt at that point in time because the state does reimburse. When the state acquires land, it's only reimbursable if it's taxable at the time they acquire it, and it's reimbursable based on the value of the land at the time they acquire it. Now, unfortunately, it's also reimbursable based on appropriation. So all the state reimbursable land goes into a pool, gets divided out based on the state's assigned value of what that land is worth, and they can appropriate $1. And that would get split up between them. They haven't done that. I hope they never do that. But, we're not getting dollar for dollar assessed value for that land regardless. But it is better if they acquire it as industrial land rather than being restricted as state forest.
Right.
Anyone else?
Is there any possibility for a trade-off, trading land, and where we could get some frontage on 16 in that area?
I've heard conversations of that question being raised with the state. It would definitely be between the town and the state. I know another selectman has raised that issue with me. I don't know if it's legal, what the laws under which the state acquired the land, if they have a pathway to do that. I mean, I think everything could be legislated if there was a way. But
it just seems like it's, like you say, it's industrial, but it's backland. It's like you say, a long shot, unless somebody's, building helicopters or something that we can come in.
Yeah.
But, you've got state land on 16 that's just there.
Ross, you say that, but that industrial land that's on the left side of 16 when you're going towards Webster, Bob, do you remember the whole, no, you may not, we had a whole plan on how that could have been developed and everything that we had gotten a grant for. That was not useless land. But then the state took it, and we get less money now than we were getting for taxes off of it when it was considered backland type of stuff.
That's where the dump was going, wasn't it?
No, that was to the right-hand side.
The right-hand side.
That was on the right-hand side. This was...
Was that the airport?
And that's exactly where I'm thinking, is you got those couple of turnoffs on the left-hand side as you're heading towards Webster.
Right.
I know it gets wet a little bit in the back there.
We had a whole plan that was, I forget who did it. And again, this is probably 25, 30 years ago maybe, but they showed everything, roads that we could put in and everything. We had gotten a grant, we had gotten the plan. And then, unfortunately, instead of pushing that piece of land, they decided they were going to push into, look at developing the Pine property, which I knew that would be developed by itself, but no, that's where they pushed the money. And in the meanwhile, the state came in and took that other land.
Did the state take it, or the people donated it to the state?
They didn't donate it, they bought it. It was not donated, it was purchased.
Right, but
but the seller didn't have to sell.
Taxes.
No, but the seller's going to, nothing's going on, okay? The seller wouldn't have sold if we had proceeded and continued with trying to get it developed instead of wasting the money down at the Pine property.
So the state didn't take it.
West Side Connector?
The state bought it.
I don't get it.
But the guy would have sold it to the highest bidder. If we had somebody who wanted to develop an industrial subdivision there, they would have brought taxes in. That's where he would have sold it. But nothing was going on. The guy was getting older, so he sold it.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Chris that would be helpful, a basis for us to move forward if we were thinking of making changes? Anything else?
I had asked Chris when we were looking at that map we were handed out, and it was a lot less state forest was shaded. And so I, asked him if he could bring up, type in Massachusetts and this whole big area, but it was all just little pinpoints of where they were, but it didn't shade the map, and you couldn't print it. So you pretty much got to pick each parcel, but there was probably another 300 acres that's not state forest open space on the plan that you had handed out that now is. I mean, the old, where they were going to put that mega landfill, that's not on that map. And that's, what, 200?
Well, I do know Emerson Smith, his heirs, owns.
Yeah, but that's not state forest at all now.
No, but he owns that island of industrial land up in the northwest corner, kind of along the Sutton-Oxford line, all the way out to the Cliff Street property. He did just renew, or the heirs just renewed the 10-year forest management plan. But I had spoken with the heirs, and they had been talking with the state about the state acquiring it. But I mean, it's 1,000 acres. That's a big bite for this for the state at one shot. They pluck off 50, 100 acres here and there. They have been over time. But yeah, there are significantly more state Commonwealth of Massachusetts, whether it's DCR, Fisheries and Wildlife, parcels beyond the current zoning.
Yeah.
So currently, do we have a definitive, sort of a rhetorical question, do we have a definitive, complete, accurate zoning map available as we speak?
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
Zoning
There have been
map?
changes. A current, correct a zoning map reflecting the zoning as it is today.
Yeah.
Because we're finding errors.
But it doesn't include that state forest open space zone.
So the zoning map shows zoning overlay, doesn't show the
Yeah.
state-owned land that's outside of that.
Okay. All right,
So
thank you.
there's no map combined?
Correct.
That would show both? Okay, that's...
Yeah, people think there's a lot of open
Yeah.
land for sale
Right.
in Douglas, but
You almost need two maps overlaid over each other and printed to show what's really going on.
But maybe you need a map that shows what is owned by the state.
Well, that's what I had
And
asked,
DCR
but it
and stuff
can't be-
like that.
we
You
can't do it.
that? You can't do that?
you'd have to pick out each lot and
Really?
color it a different shade. Yeah, look it up.
Is this something we can address, Emily, in the master plan, that we can have a couple different maps there?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. All right.
I'll leave that to Gabe, but sure.
Any other questions, comments for Chris?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. See you tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Like, I'm running away. I'm running away.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. All right, Dan. Yep. Thanks for coming in.
Makes one amendment to the meeting minutes and leaves.
Okay. So without further ado, I'd hand it over to Emily. I think we're going to start off with the photo contest. I think it's next one.
Or like while we were talking about land use and zoning, we can just continue with that.
Sure.
If we just had any lingering questions or comments, thoughts, based on the last meeting's discussion on the land use key findings and proposed action items. We have Gabe who was presenting, he's online. If there's just anything we want to cover for a few minutes, feel free. Any zoning topics, anything that kind of stood out. Now we can move forward. We've got other exciting things to talk about tonight.
Any thoughts in that regard?
Okay, we'll have, when the full chapter is written out, in a few months, we'll return to that as well.
You stunned us into silence. That's very rare, you know.
Seriously?
I was thinking she could bottle it.
So we'll leave it to you, Emily, where you want to go at this point.
Good?
Did we
Okay.
skip over the photo contest?
Yeah, just because Gabe's on the line, so I just wanted to, and we were already talking about the zoning map anyway, so I figured.
We're coming back to it.
Oh, we are going back to photo contest, yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions or comments on what I presented last time that you weren't able to make, let me know. Otherwise,
He's going to leave.
it was good to hear from the assessor, for sure, to get more information on what's going on with that industrial zoning, so.
On zoning, the only thing I have is trying to redo the lines on along property lines. That's the biggest factor. Getting rid of that standard split zoning, 200-foot strip. Make it so it's fair for the people that are in residential, but yet they have industrial. Those ones that have industrial, but you have 20 feet of residential. It just makes it so difficult for anybody to come in and have a smooth sailing process on any development whatsoever, because everything is split zoning in a lot of those areas.
Are you
That's the biggest thing.
suggesting, if I could, that we should expand the buffers? Because that is something we should look at, because we've had conflict, industrial, residential. Once we had a stone crushing permit that was granted, and there was a lot of, the residents felt there was a lot of noise coming from that. And you can imagine the sound, the noise a stone crushing operation would make. I mean, there were lots of tests in terms of acceptable decibel levels, but all of us felt that just didn't feel right, you know? To either party.
Yeah.
If it's industrial, they should be able to do what's allowed. If it's residential, they should have quiet enjoyment of their home. So what do you do?
Yeah.
So what is the buffer?
More land.
Sorry, remind me, do your bylaws make a distinction between light and heavy industrial?
No.
I don't believe so, no. It's
I
just
don't think
industrial.
so. Just industrial.
Yeah, so I think in the use table, something that's like a pretty easy fix is define light industrial as any industrial that doesn't have a negative effect on abutters. So that would include sound, air pollution, vibration, anything like that. And then you define heavy industrial as anything that does have that impact on abutters. And then you can create distinct rules and placement for those uses. So like heavy industrial would probably be restricted to industrial zones, and you could set through the use table like a substantial buffer from any residential zoning as well.
I'm not crazy about that, because when you define negative impacts, could be traffic, could be aesthetics, visual impacts and things like that. I think that's a little too ambiguous. I've seen light and heavy industrial defined by the use and the scope of what's being done. And so I've seen that differentiation. I've never seen light and heavy differentiate by whether or not it has a negative impact. It's
mostly on like measurable environmental impacts. So we're not talking about traffic or whatever.
But again, when you measure noise, there's all sorts of different standards. Are you measuring from the source of it? Are you measuring from the property line? Noise is a very difficult thing to enforce for anybody, because you have the calibration. What are you measuring it with? Things like that. So I would rather see light and heavy differentiated by the type of use, and then have different buffers for that and different standards for that. But that's a very tenuous thing and a very tricky thing to do.
So I have a question. So in the case of the operation we talked about, stone crushing, what would be your recommendation? If you could wave a magic wand and say this will be adequate so that industrial and residential.
To me, stone crushing would be heavy industrial.
Okay.
Because of the truck traffic, the noise, the dust, the disturbance of the land. You're actually excavating and digging land. To me, that's a heavy industrial. Light industrial would be something that's happening basically processed inside the building. Only.
And we can define that so there's no gray areas?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Oxford has that right now.
Yeah.
Light and heavy industrial.
Okay.
I think the distinction in the discussion we were having about the rock crushing company going in there was that the residents, when they bought that land, was zoned residential, and then it changed to industrial. I would hope that would be very difficult to do today, like that there wouldn't be a lot of pushback in terms of someone buying into a residential property zone, and then, and I don't know the circumstances as to how that turned all that residential land into industrial, but I just think that would be very hard today.
I can give you the skinny on that, because Carol and I were involved on that. That was a 500-foot strip of residential up against the Uxbridge line. There was a million-square-foot warehouse planning on building there. They could not build on residential, so we went to the town meeting, had it rezoned to industrial. The warehouse people ultimately pulled out.
Yeah.
Because there was one property owner that would not sell his property, right smack in the middle of the way.
Because also noise depends on the location, the topography, the amount of vegetation, how does the sound travel from the source, things like that. It's such a difficult thing to define, and that's why I think that would be extremely difficult to determine that. Like light industrial would be processing inside only. It wouldn't be manufacturing, things of that nature. You could look at how much truck traffic it's generating, but again, that kind of goes with the use. So you could have certain technological, like, a data center, that's light industrial, because there's no fabrication, there's no assembly, there's no processing, there's very few employees, there's no truck traffic, things like that. So again, number of employees is another factor that plays into how much traffic you get.
I have a question. Do you recall how far back some of the closest homes were to the rock crushing?
I think they're 400 feet.
At least.
Didn't seem like a whole lot to me.
No, not to have a rock crushing endeavor in your backyard.
And plus, when you cut all the trees down, there goes your noise sound buffer.
Yeah.
So what starts out as something where you don't think it's going to be a noise issue, it can become a noise issue once construction begins.
Once
and,
it starts.
like you said.
Well, they take the hill down and...
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments on the subject?
All right, we'll move forward. Thanks, Gabe, for popping in.
Thank you, Gabe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, now going on to the photo contest. Yeah, so it's up and ready for people to submit photos. I have not tried myself, but I think there aren't any issues with it. I know Linda had one quick comment.
Oh, you saw that?
I did see that, sorry.
I was like, am I replying in the wrong
No,
place, or-
I got that.
Okay.
I passed it along, but I just checked and it looks like he didn't add your comment in, so I'm going to follow up.
No, I knew I was late. So.
No, it's okay.
Did anyone take a flyer? I put 50 flyers at each of the entrances to town.
No, I didn't.
I brought some more flyers too, so if anyone wants to take them, hang them up anywhere.
They're the same, kind of the same as last?
Fair amount. Yeah, I'll put it on my calendar.
I think we had a couple of changes. But my comment was that every photo should have a captions where it is. I think that was in the last master plan. There was a photo and what it was underneath it. I'm not sure. Didn't have time to look it up.
Yeah, saves us time to like figuring out what barn that is or.
Correct. Or sunset over the res.
Yeah.
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 Can we pass those around for those who don't have yours for reference?
So that's the final.
Yes,
Okay.
and, oh yeah, we had the discussion about like getting like businesses to donate the gift cards. I think we'll move forward with like the donation thing. So, I haven't reached out to any businesses yet, but can stop by there soon. And then, yeah, if we get a bunch to donate gift cards, then we could add them to an updated flyer. Promote that as well, or just promote the businesses on our social media page.
In the minutes, you've got, Emily will look into the legality of using public funds to purchase gift cards for contest winners. I ran this by our town administrator, and he says that's a no-no.
Okay,
So
so
it's,
definitely
yeah.
get the donations.
Prizes will be awarded.
And then John Charbonneau will also look into the legality of the purchased gift cards, and if the gift card donations need special approval requirements.
I haven't
Any
had a chance to look
donation
at that.
we get in economic development
Yeah.
has to be accepted by the selectmen.
So I'll take Matt's word on that the legalities of spending money. So I haven't looked into that issue yet. I haven't had a chance.
Now, we can accept business gift cards, but they have to be, I believe, accepted by the selectmen. I don't know.
Okay, so maybe we could get a letter or something from the selectmen, like asking for donations, something like that.
Do you think, Rich, get on the next selectmen meeting? and
Sure.
Just point blank ask.
Yeah.
What are you asking, the legality?
Show them this and say, we're soliciting business cards from, gift cards from businesses to pass out to contest winners. Do they have to be accepted by the select board?
Okay, and is there a monetary amount for those gift cards? Do we want to keep it to a certain limit?
There may be a limit.
Right, there
Yeah.
usually is.
Yeah. I know for municipal officials, it's $50 per calendar year, right?
Yeah, to accept gifts. Yeah.
Maybe that's
So
a good
50
number.
per gift card or 50 per business?
That's a whole different item.
I know it is, it's a precedent.
Yeah.
$50 might be you get a $49.99 gift card.
Can I ask this? Have other towns done gift cards and stuff before?
Yeah, I mean, I checked in with my colleague who's doing the master plan in Northbridge, and she was working with their economic development committee, and the committee solicited donations from businesses. They were-
So it is done.
Yeah.
All right.
As long as it's
So it sounds like they're doing multiple gift cards from multiple businesses.
Yeah, they are.
So, I mean,
And that's fine.
they're in the same state.
But it's
That's
just,
fine, but do they have to be approved through the selectmen to be passed out?
and can we get 3 gift cards from the same business, or would it have to be 1 gift card or a set amount from each business? Like, you can
I
only
don't
get,
think there's a limit.
like, could we get like 3 $50 gift cards from one business, or are we only allowed $50 per
I
business
don't
type
think
thing?
that's the problem.
Well, I have a question. Does it have to be a gift card? Could Grill on Main say, giving you a $50 gift certificate to have dinner at the Grill on Main? that's a good idea.
Well, that's what they will do.
That's what the
probably.
gift cards are.
Oh, okay, so,
Yeah, that's what
okay,
a gift card-
Yeah, that's what, I just meant like if they,
they're not
No,
going to be Visa type of things.
yeah, I just meant like if they were to give us 3 of them,
Yeah.
would it be, well, technically it's $150 from them. Is there a cap on how much each business would be allowed to give?
You give us as much as they want.
I don't think there's a limit.
There probably isn't. There might be, like Rebecca saying, as per, like you can't give $1,000, but you can give, $500, $2 gift cards,
The thing is, it's not going to public officials, it's going to
Right.
residents.
Right.
But it's a contest. It's a contest, so
It might be
everybody
something
has
that
access
it's a
to it.
question worth asking, I think. We're just throwing $50 out there as a number.
Right.
It's just,
I think it has
it's a
nothing to
question
do with,
worth, it may not be, but before we step in the hot water, we might want to ask.
Yeah, and finding out how other towns, if it's being done in other towns, we're all in the same state, so there's a way of doing it.
There's a way to do it,
obviously.
correct.
But maybe we just haven't done it here, find out from another town how they're doing it, to get around it, and then make it work.
Yeah.
And maybe
It's not-
maybe
it's not
a
hard.
problem at all.
the difference between CMRPC using our grant money to purchase gift cards, that's the issue.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
No.
Not doing that,
No,
okay.
we're just going
Yeah.
to do donations.
Right.
But wouldn't town council have, sorry, Margaret, wouldn't town council have the final determination if there was a limit, the legality of it, rather than the select board?
Well, I think select board and/or town administrator would probably
Contact.
consult with town council. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll plead our case with the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator and see what, what they think is appropriate. But and I think we're confusing it because there is that $50 limit for town officials.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
One person, 1 year. It has to be $49.99.
But that's a town official.
Yeah.
This is
This is something
This is a
different.
separate entity, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
No different than like Oktoberfest being sponsored by the town and everything else.
Yeah.
On town property and town roads and everything else. So there's ways to do it.
Yeah.
Just
Just want to do it right.
cross the T, dot the I, and say, good luck.
Yes.
Well, I think the businesses too would want a little guidance on what would really be recommended for them to donate. Is it
Yes.
$50 or $100? So, so they don't have to try to figure it out.
Right.
And I mean, $50 at Joe's is a lot different than $50 at Grill on Main also. Like.
Yeah, but
But still.
some businesses aren't going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
They will be given the Visa gift card, correct? Or
Well, they
a
probably
gift
do
card
a
to
gift-
Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know, but not everybody has a restaurant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts would probably be a gift card, because they have them right there.
yeah, so couldn't you do a Visa gift card too?
Yeah, just a general
Yeah,
basic
okay.
gift card.
And are we looking at 7 total? 7 gifts, if you will, or 7 winners?
Will they be all the same amount?
I think it's fair to do all the same.
Okay.
I'm thinking just 25.
Except for the cover.
I was gonna say,
I thought
with
the
the
cover was
Right,
going to be a
that's the-
special.
So it would be 7 of one and then the big
I would think.
one for the cover.
Yeah.
Cover's not going to be a pizza, I take it, huh?
Only if it's going into a tunnel. Only if it's going into a tunnel.
The pizza thing is getting a life of its own. The planning board was asking me about the pizza thing. It's a thing.
Maybe $25 for 7 different businesses, gift cards. And then like maybe 50.
So that's the prize, is $25?
Yeah.
Wouldn't aren't you better off? I would think $50 seems a little more.
Yeah.
And maybe $100.
It's 25.
$25, it might get half a sandwich on a good day.
I agree with that. Maybe I'm sure we can.
Well, it depends on how much we get,
How about
too.
Margaret takes them out to dinner?
Well, I would say, let's see.
We can all take them. There you go. Get to have dinner with the master plan.
It'll be pizza though.
We're
not gonna get any photos.
$50 is going to grab more interest in sending
Yeah.
a picture also.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
$25 isn't much.
And how much for the cover photo?
I say 100.
100?
All right, I'll see what I can work on my soliciting.
Who's going to round take their pictures?
Do we need 7? What if we get 10? Do we have 10 winners?
No, it's 7 categories and then the
Yeah.
photo, the cover photo.
Categories here, plus a photo.
Yeah, so what if you get a whole lot more donations then?
Then we could add it up into it,
Right.
yeah.
Then we can do first, second, and third.
We'll see how much we get.
Yeah. You're right.
Let's add to it. Let's add to the confusion.
We don't have to commit to any of these prizes at this point till we see
No.
what we get for
Correct.
donations.
Well, there could be 2 photos for the cover, who knows? You know, you
Yeah.
could divvy it up that way, see how it goes. See what pictures you get, you might only get 3 pictures, who knows?
Well, 500, the same thing.
You could hit up, so like,
Are we prohibited from taking photos stuff?
That was a question I had, actually.
I was wondering the same thing.
Well, then we can't be the judges.
Yeah, so if someone is a resident and works for the town, because we do have, obviously,
Yeah.
people who are residents and work for the town, would that be in conflict of interest? But they have a right to file, to
Sure they
submit
do.
something as a resident.
Right.
I would think just this committee shouldn't submit because
I agree.
we're voting on it.
yeah, I mean,
Or if the committee does want pictures, they can submit them, but they can't win prizes.
There you go, that's
Yeah.
what they can't
There you
win
go.
prizes.
Non-eligible.
Non-eligible for prizes, but they can be chosen for if they want to go into the, if they are good enough, they can go into the book.
Right.
yeah.
Then we'll have an extra gift card.
We're going to need a bigger flyer.
Well, that's why there's the QR code to go to the rules and regulations.
Whatever it's used to.
Cool. Anything else on photo contest? I'll send out pictures like as they come in too, so you guys can check them out. Oh, Sam just joined us.
He always looks like
Hi, Sam.
he's like in the sky with his background.
Okay. All right, are you ready to get into population and housing?
Sure.
We've already gone through it, most of it, kind of before, so I have a good sense. So, pass out hard copies of these. I'll share online.
Thank you, Kylie.
2, 1 more.
Thank you.
Hot off the press. Do you know where that is?
I don't
This
think
on
it's-
North Village.
That looks like North Village.
North Village, 40B.
Yeah. And that's,
Yeah, that was one of the
Phase
drone
4.
photos. We had our drone
I
pilot go out.
don't know if we want to highlight that project. That's caused nothing but problems.
But it's a nice picture.
Yeah,
It is a nice picture, yeah.
I'll make it blend in more. It won't be like the cover page picture, but it'll be like.
look at all that.
Can we like color in the dirt
And that's
holes and
industrial.
piles on the right that have
Or
been
did we
there for
rezone
months?
that?
It kind of looks like Firefest.
Yeah, if we could cut off that, the rest of it would be really nice.
I'll see what we can do.
Another shadow of the cloud.
Yeah, that's nice.
Did anyone get a chance to look this over? I'm just trying to get a sense of where we're at with the chapter. It's okay if you didn't, I just want to know. That's all right. So this is really similar to the key findings and action items document that we had gone over a few months ago. I forget when that was, actually. Summer.
June?
That was June, okay. So it's been a little while. But this is more of a complete chapter. We added more kind of context in, some more action items, some more charts and tables and data in there to really fill out the chapter. So as it is, this is the draft full chapter. So this is really like the content that's going to be in the master plan document. It's just not like formatted nicely in the way it's going to actually look in the document with all the pretty fonts and colors and all the pictures we're gonna get from the photo contest and everything. So, but we wanna kind of go through this and make sure at least like the text is holding up and really where you want it to be. So I figure we can kind of just go through the document. I really do want to save time for the recommendations section too, because I think that's really like the heart of this plan is kind of how we move forward from this. You know, data can always be updated and everything, but so the first page here, we've got just an introduction. If there's any fun facts you want included in there. Also, feel free after this meeting, if you want to go through this in more detail, and email me any edits, any feedback, anything, maybe corrections, if we have anything wrong or needs clarification. Please do that. I would love to look at your edits. Let's see. Then going on to the second page, we added in some more key findings, more about the population. I think the previous document, we focused more on like the housing aspect, but this is more how the population is changing and expected to change. So this is just the sheer kind of numbers based on the decennial census. CMRPC does our own population projections. So based on our projections, our transportation department does them. This is kind of where it's expected to be heading. So pretty slow growth anticipated in the next kind of few decades. I think we could also add the numbers in there too. So we've got on that first figure.
Really, you think the growth is going to slow down?
That's according to the way that our department does the projections.
It just doesn't feel that. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Yeah. And like population, it might not necessarily reflect like housing growth too. Like if you see a lot of homes being built, that could just be for 1 or 2 people, whereas, you know, decades ago it was 5 or 6 people.
Because part of the reason Rutland has grown so fast is because they have multiple, like I said, large 100-plus home subdivisions that have been developed over the last 5 years, and there's another one that hasn't started yet. So, you know, a lot of their agricultural land has been sold off to developers, and they're becoming large subdivisions. So that's part of the reason Rutland has grown so quickly. But that Douglas really doesn't have those large, knock on wood, those large subdivisions.
Does the schools take into consideration the homeschooling and school choice and BBT and that type aspect?
No, that's just the public school enrollment.
Okay, because it says like the trend is reflected in the declining student enrollment, and it seems like that's also a huge reason why there's declining enrollment in schools. It's not just that there's less kids in
I think that's a small reason. People aren't having kids.
I mean, it is still a factor.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if that was something that was taken into consideration.
No, we can definitely note that. So you said homeschooling, BBT,
school choice.
Great.
Well, we have more that come in than go out.
We do have more coming in than going out right now?
We have more people school choice into Douglas than school choice out of Douglas, so. And it's not just Douglas. Every town is going through this. Nobody's having kids anymore.
Yeah, it even states on page 4, Carol, exactly what you're saying. Douglas is experiencing a declining number of households with children under the age of 18.
I was reading some statistics that was just yesterday on the amount, how many households now compared to 20 years ago where there's one-person household. It's really grown. It's the one-person household.
Yeah, I was just in Charlton this morning talking with a committee there, and they were talking about how they're all single, retired women. They've got these big houses that they live in, and they don't want to live in them anymore. They're so sick of taking care of them. They want a small condo they can move into and have someone else shovel and everything. So, you know, does the housing stock here match what people actually like really want now that a lot of the kids have grown up and moved out and we're not really
And that's
returning.
hopefully something we'll be working on coming out of this master plan. And I know the planning board at our last meeting, I wanted some guidance after we do the accessory dwelling unit bylaw, what is the next priority of the planning board? And one thing we're going to be working on is over 55 housing bylaw. Different types of over 55 housing, because there's some people, like up at Rutland or Rutland Heights, they have duplexes that are going for $450,000 a piece. As Ken pointed out, yes, some people can afford that because they're selling their homes that they've been in for 40 or 50 years and they don't have a mortgage. So they can take what they make from that house and put it down, but not everyone can do that. And I was, the workshop that CMRPC had the other day, that came up, and there are different forms of downsizing. There's physical downsizing in terms of a large home to a smaller home, but there's also financial downsizing from, a more expensive situation to something that's a little bit more reasonable when you're on a fixed income.
And then that opens up kind of these bigger homes for families with kids to actually move into the...
And therefore, you may not have the need for these large subdivisions if you have those homes opening up. Like, the building commissioner just sold his home here in Douglas after 4 years. So he sold it to a young family. So you need that kind of, I forget what the term is, but that turnover, that...
Gentrification?
That's it, thank you.
I agree and disagree. You're also then forcing people out also. Excuse me, that have been in their house and can't afford to stay there. That's wrong. That people that have been in their homes for 50, 60 years, they can no longer afford to stay there. That means the town is doing bad things, because now you're making people leave, what, just to bring in young families? What's the purpose of that?
But
the idea of the community is to have people that have been there be able to stay there without a problem.
But that's because of taxes going up.
It involves multiple things, and I agree.
Yeah.
But the idea is, we're talking about selling homes, downsizing and all the whole 9 yards. Is that because you want to, or is it because you have to?
I think a combination of both.
Right. Something to look at.
Yeah, the point I made in the workshop the other day was, for instance, we've owned our home for 6 years in Woonsocket, half-acre ranch with about 2,000 square feet. Our mortgage is $1,700. Why would we want to give that up when rent is $2,500 to $3,000 a month?
Right.
So everything my wife and I are doing with our life insurance policies and everything, if something happens to one of us, the other person can stay in the home and not have to give up the home to pay more for rent somewhere. So that's another part of this is, what is there to go to? What is there to downsize to? Rents are so outrageous, it's more expensive to rent in a lot of cases than it is to stay in your home.
A little bit more diverse in terms of race and ethnicity. Still majority white, not Hispanic population. Let's see, school.
May I make a comment about the commentary?
Yes.
And I haven't gone through all of it yet, and I'm assuming that the commentary is specific to each of the key findings, and that's why it's here, but is this going to appear somewhere at all? These comments?
All of this will be like in the whole chapter, so I want to make sure we get it right.
Yep. Can we just make sure that the voices from the community is kind of fair and balanced across? Because the comments like on key finding 3 is all about people don't want development. And I think a lot of the other comments are similar to that, like keeping Douglas small, but I'm not sure that everybody feels that way.
Yeah, I'll make sure to get a good cross section.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's off subject, but I forget what it's called, where you have land area versus population and that formula of housing, and then you try to stay away from a certain percentage, 10% or whatever, so you can stay away from 40B. I forget what that's called, but I don't know if anybody else caught the little Chronicle article about Wallem Lake.
No.
Makes
Yeah,
Douglas
saw
all
that.
good.
What was
It
that?
does.
That was
They
the
also
night of the
state-
town meeting.
State forest takes up 1/3 of the town of Douglas.
Oh, yeah.
In that article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was on. It's on
YouTube.
TV. So, I know we had asked that question or touched that subject before as far as, are we penalized
Yeah,
in that
Tuesday night.
formula for housing versus whatever that percentage was, and I forget what it was called, honestly.
Yeah, the land area formula, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a formula, it's called the safe harbor formula.
Is that-
and it's one of the 4 or 5 safe harbors. One is 10% of low and moderate senior income housing, which we're at 4 and change, I believe. I wish I had it with me, and it was like a 1% of the total area of the town, a larger percent of the total area that is just residential. So there are formulas in there, and actually I was talking with John about that, because I think we might qualify for some of that and raise those numbers. I think we're higher than 4%.
Right.
We just don't know it.
Right.
And it's up to the town to do the study and submit it to the state.
Right.
That's where they get the information.
Okay. Yeah.
What I'm saying, now there's even more backing. This, this was something that was on TV, That was,
Yeah, maybe look into that.
Part of the reason for the 4% is, I mean, I read some stuff, if the thing is rented, okay, if you have like Hayward Landing, which are all rentals, all right? You have a certain percentage that are considered low income or affordable, you get to count every unit towards your 10%. So how much do we really have this affordable in town? It's really a lot less than what you think.
Are you saying all the units in the 40B
Yes.
or just the low, moderate income?
No, you get to count every unit towards it.
Are you
towards the
sure,
10%.
Carol,
I'm
about
telling, I
that?
read it. You must
I know
have
you're
changed
usually
it.
right, but
I read it,
Because that's big.
unless it's been changed in the last couple of years. You think if it's a rental unit, they get to count all the units. So some of those, I'll tell you, they're hardly affordable if you see what they ask for rent in that
I know.
place.
Yeah, it depends like how it was constructed. If it's all public housing, like managed by the housing authority, they're probably all subsidized and
private.
stuff. But it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was probably built with some kind of subsidy that
So let me throw this
all
out
of it
there.
will count.
How does this all come into play with counting the numbers on affordability with ADUs? Because the ADU is being occupied a lot of times by parents or whoever, right? So do they count that into the affordability side on all this? How does the ADU aspect come into play with the count to the state? Does anybody know?
It doesn't.
Why
Unless
not?
they put a deed on it.
Unless they put a deed restriction on it, right, that it can only be, it's got to be, the amounts can be, so it doesn't count. The ADUs don't count.
how about those who own rental property that are under market?
But you're supposed to be able to rent them.
I mean, every one of my apartments would qualify as affordable for what I charge people,
Yes,
but they're not in on it.
okay. I'm sorry.
But you know how, so the new ADUs, you're supposed to be able to rent. No different than if you have an apartment building, right? So if you have an ADU that you're renting out for low income or whatever, or low money, then would that unit count? No, how is it different than owning an apartment building or a 3-decker? You live on the first floor.
Yeah.
You rent out the other 2 floors.
Right, but they don't count towards the affordability.
Okay.
It can-
I'm just looking at, is that law, or is that just,
No, that's what the law is. I used to build affordable housing,
Yeah.
okay, when all this stuff came
Okay.
out. Every one of those houses that I was putting up through Farmers Home Loans should have qualified, because people were paying 1% mortgages on it. Every one of them would have qualified as affordable, but they didn't work towards the numbers.
okay. Just making sure, because I know things are changing real fast in the state. And it's just part of it.
Do you think it'd be helpful to have like a definition of affordable housing somewhere like loud and clear in the chapter? So when people are reading this?
Because it's happening every day.
I think everybody's got a different view of what affordable housing is.
Right.
They think it's low income.
Yeah. And they,
Subsidized and,
Right.
yeah.
So that might not be a bad idea.
As of the date of this printing, affordable housing is defined by the state.
I mean, you're building a 900 square foot place for someone to live in.
a lot of the people who carry on, well, I want affordable housing, they would qualify for it.
Wasn't one meeting, didn't we say something like how most of the single employees in town would would have qualified?
Qualified to be considered affordable.
Yeah.
Well, low income.
But I'm saying, I think that came up at one of the meetings, that most of the single employees in town would qualify under what is today's standards. So I think that is something like, it's not quite what you think.
The state does provide a chart, and I think you referenced it once, Bob. Under a certain amount, you're considered low. If you can qualify, then medium. And then, I don't know if they get into the senior. Medium and moderate.
I printed this out in 2024, and for Douglas, 80% income limit is $72,100 for one person.
That's considered affordable.
This is area median income.
Right.
Is that 80% of it, or is that?
And then there's another one that says 100% is 90,000. 80% income limit, 72.
And is 72 considered low or moderate, do we know?
It meets the guidelines for affordable housing under the 40B.
Emily, how many pages would we take up defining affordable?
Depends how big the print is.
We'll just add a YouTube link to this meeting.
You must have all that information.
Yeah, we have that. So we could make a chart.
To us, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not as easily, it's not as, people assume it's something that it's really not a lot of times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need some help with this.
Okay. Yeah, because again, this is going to be like a public-facing document, so we don't want people to read through and be like, this is so confusing, this isn't helpful. Like, I want it to be clear, so if there's stuff that's confusing to this committee, like, I want to clarify it, and, this is stuff, I think about this every day, so, like, I'm kind of used to, like, these terms and everything, so I need you to check me and make sure that,
Is there a place where we can use workforce housing as a terminology as much as possible?
And a definition of it?
Yeah.
That one's tough because it doesn't have a real definition.
That would be more of the
according to the state.
Affordable.
Right.
Like workforce, our employees here. That's the workforce. It needs a place to live. And they would qualify as the affordable.
But also retired folks who aren't in the workforce need a place to live too. So that's our concern.
Retired is low income.
That's right. How about for that?
Here we are, full circle.
Retired is low income.
I'm going backwards for a second, and I apologize. Real quick on the age thing. I saw that there's been a huge jump in the median age. Is there any correlation with also the fact that there's a huge jump in what the age that people are buying homes?
Oh, yeah, I don't have that stat, but
I'm just wondering, because do you know what I'm?
yeah, I can get you that stat.
But I'm just wondering, the median age for Douglas now is 45, and most people aren't buying homes until they're in their 40s.
Right.
So is that why the age in Douglas has gone up as much as it has?
That's an interesting point we could make, yeah.
I think because people aren't having kids, so you're not getting the ones at the lower end, That's like...
Right.
Or if they are having kids, they're having them older.
When they used to say the life expectancy was only 35 years old, well, that's because people would lose half of their children as they were babies, So that brought down the life expectancy. There were people that lived to be 80 and 90 years old.
Yeah.
So simply put, the cost of housing is driving the demographic shift.
I'm just wondering if that's, you said it much better than I did.
You're probably right.
Well, I get the bits and pieces from
So
you.
what's really happening is your younger generation is having to go more towards the city areas for lesser price housing.
Well, no, not lesser price, because it's more expensive in the cities. There's more housing stock in the cities.
No, the city, a lot of times is less money too.
No, it's more expensive.
Yeah, it is. So,
But what about Worcester?
What's that?
What about if you go to Worcester?
No, the couple that just bought Ken's house was paying $3,000 a month for an apartment in Milford. Yep. And Worcester's no better.
Right.
In fact, they charge more in the cities because you've got access to more things.
And even Webster's going up. People are buying those older houses.
Well, you all remember, it used to be, my parents started out in a third-floor apartment when they got married.
Right.
Then they bought a small cottage in Woonsocket on Carnation Street. I was born, and they built their own home in North Smithfield in 1972, and my mother's still there. That was the progression. You can't, I don't know how these young people could save up for a home when you're paying $3,000 a month for rent. It used to be rents were reasonable, so you could save up and buy a home.
So if you look at real estate in the city of Worcester, a lot of the houses are lesser expensive than they are out here because they're smaller. And that's the whole kicker. I'm from Worcester, I know that. I'm in Worcester all the time. So a lot of areas, depend on where you go in the city, and then once you're established and you own your place, then you're able to, as they say, move up. And that happens a lot too. That's why, like you said, they're older, in the 40s, 50s, because they can move up.
I said, like I said, I'm sorry to backtrack, but I just wondered if that was something worth noting.
Yeah, look into it.
It kind of fits with the entire, family, housing, all of it goes together.
To that point, hi everybody. To that point, I think in here somewhere it says that half of adults between age 20 to 34 are living with a parent, which I thought was very striking and also kind of shows the need for starter homes for people to move out and have some independence, as well as that would also contribute to the increasing median age. If folks are getting older, they're not having kids, but they're still living with their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son is 24 years old. Last year as an electrician, made $72,000 and can't afford to live on his own. Lives in Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Well, I know people don't want to hear this, but if you want to make things affordable for young kids, trailer parks, mobile home parks.
Yep.
Seriously, mobile home parks. It's a great starter to be able to move up. You build equity in that. Well, you're never building equity when you...
We got married and moved in with my mom.
Yeah.
That's what we ended up doing. We got married and moved in with my mom.
With the trailer home, though, the equity is limited. You're capped. It's, it's not
Tiny homes are kind of hot, like a little tiny home pocket somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why what started zoning, was because down off of South Street, Wallem Lake Terrace, and there was a whole big plan of mobile parks that had come to the board. And that was big. And all those little cottages down on the terrace. That's how they were building it out. There was just little postage stamps, and that ground can't contain all those tight tanks and septics, and they're on top of each other. And actually, that's a private way. So it was like a little mini subdivision that never got approved.
Didn't have to be.
No, before zoning, and the town wanted to put a stop to it, so I don't know about mobile homes. You put 400 or 500 in the RA somewhere, is that a good thing?
They wouldn't be bad for retired people.
Well, they've all
I have a cousin in Connecticut who lives in a nice one in Norwich. He lives in a beautiful mobile home park.
Arizona's full of them, and they're gorgeous.
As well. We just mentioned is just where my dad was just living in Florida, you've got these communities of, and it's hard to, I know it's hard to picture, but double wide, these houses are beautiful.
Oh, yes.
You know, and they're well laid out and affordable.
Right.
So when we were in Indiana, we went to a museum on RVs and mobile homes. Some of the modular mobile homes they're putting in now.
Oh, amazing.
We walked through some models. Oh my God, they're really nice.
That's correct.
So you don't want to, you think trailer park, you're thinking, you know,
Right.
broken wheels and a.
It can be done well.
Doesn't have to be there.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm just saying. It's not that, you know, it's not what you've got.
Like my home is 24 by 40, one story. And that's pretty much a double wide,
Right.
right? But it's got a solar in it.
Right.
And it's on an acre of land, but it has a septic and a well, so those are other things when you have a big mobile home park.
Yeah, you
That's the biggest holdback,
Well, you'd want it
Gotta-
water sewer.
Yeah.
accessible to.
Because right there, if you know where the old fair is,
Yeah.
right across the street,
Right.
that was 55 and over. That entire trailer park in there.
Yeah.
But they have water sewer.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's the only holdback out this
You
way.
can do it.
That's
So you
key.
can do it, and the place is spotless.
Yeah.
I mean, it's manicured all the time. So it can be done, but you need the infrastructure to do it. And
So
we
it would
don't
have to be done downtown, not
We don't have
Yeah.
the infrastructure far enough out to allow it to happen.
where we've got the space.
Right.
For really any of these things to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seriously.
Like the small pocket neighborhoods and cottage communities, and you need infrastructure.
Yes.
I heard that's why the 40B on Southwest Main didn't get ultimate approval from the state, because of the water,
Correct.
Yep.
and the lack thereof.
Yep.
So that's not going in?
Nope.
Wow.
They wanted water and sewer, or
They had to have it for the amount of units.
how many units was it going to be?
I don't know
Okay.
exactly. But we are going to have a subdivision coming forward on another property on Southwest Main, the one that's going to need the waiver for the access that Les Stevens' company owns. That was going to be 13 homes, 13 lots, flex design, but they dropped it to 10 because of the water sewer issue.
And they'll all be $800,000.
What's that?
And they'll all be $800,000.
Because only way they'll make money.
So where does that leave us with this chapter?
Yeah, good question.
Moving
A
on.
hope,
We're
a
working our way
prayer.
Well, the only way you're going to get this stuff lower, you're going to have to increase your density.
You can't increase density unless you have water sewer.
Right, but if you have water and sewer, you can
Right,
increase
there
the...
you go. So, gotta,
Well, the other thing too is, do you really need 2 acres for every house?
I have 1 acre,
I know.
and it's got a house, a septic,
Yep, well... no-
and a 3-car garage in the back, and
Oh, 3...
I still have land
Yeah.
available. I mean,
Emily, is it possible for us to see what areas of Douglas could be developed for these types of projects on a map?
With
like
water and sewer?
Developable.
Yeah, that where infrastructure is possible
Yep.
or realistic.
They talked about updating the sewer maps last year when Matt was still here. I'm not sure what came of that though. I think it was like the building department or like the building commissioner was working with someone on it or something. Do you remember that, Emily? Well, I guess it would have been the sewer commissioner, but.
I think like looking out 20 years, you know, what could we?
I know Bob Sullivan has a problem with issuing maps for terrorism activity.
Yeah.
He is definitely against putting a lot of information out there.
Well, if we could use the sewer map as like as part of like the building of a developable land map. So like we're not actually going to put the sewer layer on the final product, but we're going to use it to sort of mark out spots that are available for development.
Sometimes sewers
I don't know if you'd be
Yeah.
comfortable with that, but.
Sometimes sewers aren't always the best bet, because now all of a sudden you're taking the water from that area and then you're funneling it somewhere else and outside that area.
Right, you're not recharging your...
Correct, so sometimes, septic, you're better off, and then you could, there's also, you could public wells without having to put in a water line, put in a public well for one of these little small developments, and then everyone has a septic.
How many housing developers are going to be wanting to put in their own septic system? I feel like that's a pretty significant cost, right?
What are you talking about?
For like multiple homes on one big septic.
No, I don't think she's talking about one community septic, because we've had that discussion.
Yeah, we don't.
Community septics don't work.
No, community well, but not a community septic.
Right.
But what if they did with Manchog? They got a community septic, it's all the way down South Sutton.
They're not always the best ideas. Because you get your neighbor over there that dumps paint down the drain, and then everybody's responsible for the thing.
And I just think from a purchase perspective, that public wells make people nervous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah. Because you get a backflow contamination.
Why you have to have backflows on things now?
Huh?
Everything has to have a backflow.
Yeah, so you can take it off just as easy as you can put it on. So, that's a fact.
They fail, things fail.
They're in water up North Street, right? Is the sewer also, or just water?
The sewer's already up there. And
All the way up to the
They're
line?
just upgrading the water.
All the way to Sutton?
Water will be all the way to Sutton, sewer stops 3 houses shy. Only because that's where you lose the gravity. When you get to the top of the hill, there's a dip, and then you get to that last house, you lose the gravity function.
And it only flows down there.
But they use pumps.
You have to use the siphon, and nobody wants to do that.
But they can use pumps.
Oh, they could put in a
I'm sure there's a lot of places.
4 sewer at that point and go to the last sewer manhole.
There's got to be 4 sewers in town. I can't believe it.
All right, what page are we on?
No, there's
We're on, right now, we're on 8, we're going on, what, 9?
Actually, just one point there, because this is an important conversation. Emily, because in many ways, we're reinventing the wheel here. So if you or Sam can come up with any ideas of some models of people who did higher density, moderate, and maybe senior income housing, and all the challenges that go with that in terms of infrastructure. Somebody's done this somewhere.
Is there any way to get grants to bring sewers to an area?
Or even just water.
Water and sewer areas.
And they love to see that you have a master plan up to date if you're applying for grants.
Let me make a comment on water. Water is running right now about $600 per linear foot.
Yeah.
And that's just for the pipe. That's not the reconstruction of the road, fixing the trench, which looks like shit in about 2 years. That gets expensive. We just did 2 miles of roads for $8.5 million because of industrial development. That's a good chunk of change. We don't have that money. Grants are far and few in between, because you need job development and private investment. For residential, you don't have either one of those. So there are no grants to run a water line, extend a water line.
For residential.
For residential, we'd like run it down South Street, because that's a dry area right now.
The town of Stoughton got a MassWorks grant to extend their town water and sewer because of Campanelli Commercial Park down on the south side, right near Brockton. But that was an old commercial park from the 1970s, so they could get them off the septic.
So you'd almost need okay, so I'm on Northwest, and I'm one of the last houses with water. So you'd almost need something industrial at the other end of Northwest for us to even have a chance of getting, water down the rest of Northwest.
Here's your other problem. From your pump, from the main pump house to your house, it's 100-year-old pipes.
We
need replacing before they even extend.
Right.
we have a water pump because if we don't, we barely get a trickle sometimes.
Yeah, so you get a booster pump.
Yep, because we are the end of the line. We are the very end and we get
Emily, on
nothing.
page 8, this is just a aesthetic thing. Can this be made larger? It's very difficult to read, it's very small.
Yeah.
Just
See if we can like even just zoom into like
zoom into with
the
the
Blacksburg
Douglas
Valley.
array, yeah.
And on what you're saying, Bob, the cost of doing it and the return will never match, so it won't be done.
There's not enough.
There's not enough to do it. That's why it'll never be done.
To even think about it.
Unless you want to spend $5,000 a month for a water bill.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I like my cheap water bill. I'm good.
But you could build on less acreage and still have septic and well.
Right.
You know, if you reduced the 2-acre minimum.
We used to have 1 acre for years, and they doubled the lot size and doubled the frontage size.
Why did they do that?
Because they want anybody else in town. What do you think? That's exactly what it was.
They wanted to make it easy for us.
No, they didn't want anybody else in town. There was no doubt. They can make it as pretty as they want. That was it. We got too many people moving into town. We can't have this.
What's the problem with that?
I don't know, but you and I came into town.
What's the problem with that? To limit our expansion.
But
we're going to lose our rural character. We're going to become Auburn at some point in time.
We're not going to become Auburn.
Never say never.
We don't have any infrastructure. We'll all be dead by that time.
That's for the next master plan committee.
We'll be the ones that live forever, right? Oh, man.
Sam?
Can you repeat that, Sam?
What? What are you on, recommendations?
Were you saying something, Sam?
Yeah, sorry. It's like hard to hear you, and also sometimes I think I don't come in very well. But so like there are parts of the already developed parts of town that, I mean, that they're connected to the sewer system, and you could develop onto them. Like, I don't know about like the industrial like zone that currently exists, but like right now multifamily isn't really placed anywhere. So there's like different spots that you could fit it into the existing, like spots that do have sewer that, I mean, you don't have to, what I'm saying is you don't have to extend the sewer system necessarily to still allow to like fit in some density in certain places.
I would also, there was a comment made earlier about increasing density brings down your prices. I'd like to see evidence of that because I haven't seen it. The town of Franklin has produced thousands of housing units in the last 5-10 years along Route 140 and down near Dean Bank. I'm sure the rents there aren't lower because they've got more developments going in. I'm sure they're $2,500, $3,000 a month. So I just haven't seen that bear out that if you add housing, it brings the prices down.
And it hammers your schools.
Yeah.
I agree.
Revenue from housing is a diminishing return.
It is.
Yeah, so we will need to justify that claim, and we can bring that back for the next meeting.
What's that?
No, you're talking to somebody about.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we can, I mean, we'll have to justify that claim and see if it pans out, and we can bring that back to you at the next meeting.
Well, it used to be a net loss if they had children. No one's having children.
Right. And that's kind of sad.
Because they're trying to work to make money to buy these expensive houses.
And that's why
Exactly.
that's why over 55 housing
And I'm
is a
still
net
paying off their
positive.
student loans.
Especially if you have a little, like, a community with roads that aren't being accepted by the town that are remaining private. You're not adding kids to the school system. You're not adding roadways that the town's going to have to maintain. That's why your over 55 housing is profitable for the town. We did one in the town of Rentham. We did a zoning bylaw change to allow one to go in. It was 155 units, and it was going to generate over $300,000 a year in tax revenue for the town.
When are we working on this, John?
As soon as the master plan is done.
Well, we don't have to worry about building any schools for a long time, because we're down 33% in our thing. We're down 600 kids in our school system. So when you say, oh, we can't have the houses because they're going to be bringing in the kids, we don't have room for them. We got up to
Plenty of room.
rooms, we've got all these buildings, we got to maintain them.
I think the school population is half of what it was, close to half of what it was, 15, 20 years ago.
But so is your teacher population, and
Right.
that's where your cost come in. the building's there, it can absorb them, but you're adding cost.
But have they brought down the number of teachers in the school system with the kids?
Depends on class size, I don't know that.
You know why? Because you have to have adjustment counselors now. Because kids don't
You
behave.
have to have assistants.
And from a town perspective, from, not being part of the schools, that's the frustrating part when you look at the budgets, is the schools keep asking for more and more and more every year. How come when your population is going down? How come you're asked to stay within 2 or 3%, you keep coming back with 10%? How do you justify that?
And it doesn't have to be justified.
Because every other town department has to justify that.
Okay, where are we?
Okay. Do we want to skip down to the recommendations?
Sure.
Yes.
At this rate. All right, so that's page
15.
All right.
We're breezing right along.
We keep things interesting.
Oh, so I guess I'll describe this too. So in the previous document you had looked at, we just listed action items, which are very kind of specific, measurable recommendations. So then we created kind of broader goals, which a number of action items can fall under. So I'm curious if you like the way the kind of broader goals are phrased. So the first one here is allow a diverse inventory of housing for residents of all ages, abilities, and financial means. And then in order to achieve that, we've listed some action items that, then will be put into an implementation matrix, and it'll have, funding sources, it'll have recommended kind of parties who should be responsible for implementing this, whether it's something in the administrator's jurisdiction or more it's council on aging, who's really should be tackling this.
The second action item is not needed because we're in the process of doing that right now.
There we go.
That's going to be brought forward at May town meeting.
Okay, we'll take that out.
Yeah.
Well, it's still needed until it's accomplished.
Okay.
No, it's going to be accomplished because we did pass one before I got here, but but what happened was the Attorney General's office rejected portions because it didn't match their state guidelines. So right now, Ken and I are going to be sitting down next week. I put together a draft that satisfies what the state wants, so that will be coming forward in May. And it's already been approved by the town once. This is just tweaking it to match the state's guidelines.
So action item with MGO, chapter 48 is not applicable.
Yes, we are going, that's going to be done before the ink is dry on the master plan.
John, can I just bring up the point? I thought that Ken wanted to maintain the current accessory apartment.
What he wants to do is it's going to be accessory dwelling units / in-law suites.
So he's going to allow
differentiation between the two. In-law suites are not regulated by the state, except ADUs are.
Yep.
So whatever's in the ADUs is going to be tweaked to match the state, but he wants to maintain the in-law suites because there is a building code difference, and he does get a lot of requests for in-law suites. So he wants to maintain that. So
I'd be curious what the building code difference is.
well, the in-law suite maintains an interior access only. It doesn't have its own access from the outside, whereas an accessory dwelling unit does. That's the big difference. An in-law suite obviously is limited. You can't rent it out. And also, you have to have blood relatives in that in-law suite. So those are the differences.
So, but if someone has something like that and they just put another access to get into it, then they can go into, they can be called an accessory dwelling instead of an in-law.
And then they can rent it.
And they can rent it.
Yeah. Eventually, they'd have to obviously make that change through the building department.
Pretty simple thing to do.
They'd have to get that approved through the building
And then
department.
they
They couldn't just do it.
Right. But they wouldn't have to come back every 3 years to have.
Well, that's one thing, we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's one thing we have to talk about, because there's been some debate as far as whether or not we want to continue that, because right now, the accessory dwelling units are going to be by right through the building commissioner. As far as the in-law suites, that's a discussion the planning board has to have as far as how they want to do that. Do you want to have it be, right now it's a special permit, do you want to knock it down to site plan review? Do you want to still have them come back every 3 years? We have to have that discussion. There's some element of not making people come back and do that every 3 years. So we're going to have that conversation as far as if the board wants to continue that.
I think it was implied that it's by right. So
Well, ADUs are, not in-law suites.
in-law suites.
In-law suites are different.
Sorry,
So
moving on.
just for the record, because it's not you.
Yeah, I'm not ready to have this conversation tonight, so.
So I understand why you want to take that out, but it should really be a committee decision to take that out.
Yes, I recommend it get taken out because that's going to be done at May town meeting.
By consensus? Is that okay with the committee?
So moved.
All right.
If you want to vote.
Yeah, let's take a vote on it, take it out.
So to remove it, I'll make that motion.
Second.
That would be to remove
Action item 2.
What page is that on?
Page 15,
Action item.
which is concerning the ADU units.
Motion made by Michael, seconded by Bob. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, those abstaining, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So do the changes to the bylaw have to be voted at town meeting again?
Yes. Yes.
So what happens if it gets voted no?
Can we put it back in if that does happen?
It'll be something that we're going to ongoing work on because I'm confident, again, it got passed once. So, and we're going to go through the review process with the planning board. What's that?
Tentatively pull it out.
Yeah, I'll leave a little space for it. Just in case.
I don't understand why we need it if it's state law.
Copy and paste.
What's that?
I don't understand why we need it if it's state law.
Well, we need to have it in our bylaws to give guidance, but also, again, I don't want to have this conversation tonight. We're not ready to. Ken wants to keep the in-law suite, that's
I'd
all I'm
like
going
to
to
know
say.
it before I decide to
Can
want
we
to
make
take
the
this out.
text translucent?
If you don't want to take it out, don't take it out. I'm sorry I brought it up, so.
Yeah.
Just keep it in there.
We already voted.
Ghostwriting?
Yeah.
So, because you're modifying it, the chances of it not passing, because you're modifying it.
We're
It's already
modifying
been
it. It
approved.
was already been approved where, you know,
Now
but,
you're against the wall, John.
yeah.
You got to make it happen.
Oh, I plan on making it happen because right now we get a lot of inquiries and right now we're going by our current bylaw, but that, we're not going to be able to do that forever, so we do have to get this.
Although you never know, you know our town meeting motto, something appealing, something appalling, something
Yeah.
for everyone. Town meeting tonight?
Yeah.
So if someone came Mr. Boring Town Meeting, wanted an accessory apartment, you'd have to give it to him.
I'm not having this. Forget I said anything, sorry. Can we go back and delete what I said?
It's state law.
No. We've gone through this with town council, please. I don't want to get into the details.
I've got a quick question for you. It
Yes.
says amend the accessory apartment. Is that the in-law suite you're referring to?
It's, keep it in there. I shouldn't have brought it up. Keep it in there. That's fine.
I'll make it.
I don't want to get into the weeds on this tonight. This is not the forum for this. So I just,
So are we keeping our,
Well, I'm
what we
confused with
voted
the
on or not?
terminology. That's why I'm asking. I'm not asking for
Bob, keep it in there.
Keep it in there. So
Keep it in there.
Take it out.
Yeah, we've
I
gone
mean,
way
we could
more.
rephrase it too and just say, ensure the town complies with
Yes, that's
state
fine.
law around accessory
That's
dwelling
fine.
units, something like that.
So Ross, you making a motion to
I'm going to make a
reinstate it?
motion to unscratch.
Oh my God.
To rescind.
I'll second that motion now.
Made by Ross.
They're going on and maybe
Michael.
scratch it.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Poor Linda.
Oh, that's okay.
Let it be a lesson
like
to you,
the right.
John.
Yeah.
Stay out of the weeds.
Yeah.
Just created more.
Linda, we're going to double your salary.
Because we'll come by with a lawnmower, dude.
What's 2 times 0?
Yeah.
Triple it, then, triple it.
I don't have my calculator with me.
That was 15 minutes. What do you got now?
Okay.
Sorry.
Is any other adopt zoning that facilitates senior housing development?
That's a good one.
John likes that one. So yeah, that could come in the form of a 55-plus bylaw. However, that kind of
Yeah, that could
comes
take
to
a
be.
lot of different forms.
Yeah, exactly. But as long as it's, making it, in terms of regulations, easier for the town to, have senior housing be developed. That's the goal. Explore community support for a smart growth zoning district. Oh, this is a fun one, too.
I mean, this is just exploring. It doesn't say we're going to
Yeah.
do it. If we explore something and it doesn't work for Douglas, it doesn't work for Douglas. So
Yeah.
or we could be exploring for quite a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll highlight the sentence here where it's, the benefits of 40R, which is this state program for smart growth zoning, include cash incentives from the state, including a one-time incentive payment, density payments for new housing production, and reimbursement of education costs for new students. So that's why a lot of towns are starting to get interested in this 40R kind of process, because they will get kind of a little bit of money from the state. So again, something to explore if it feels appropriate for the town. Adopt zoning that supports pocket neighborhoods of smaller scale homes. We included some pictures previously about, forget where that was.
It's Carlisle.
Oh, that's not where it is, yeah. So, maybe 8 homes kind of clustered together around like a shared space, whether it's a garden or a sidewalk, or like a pathway. Smaller homes that people don't necessarily have to, take care of as much without those big yards. And they could be single level, they could be 2 levels. I feel like, yeah, in the community survey, people generally were supportive of those kinds of, like, housing density, too. All right. Yeah, the next one, adopt mixed-use zoning in village centers.
Matt and I actually had a discussion on this today when I told him we were going to be exploring recodifying our zoning bylaws. He had an idea of, this was yesterday actually, he had an idea about something to do with our village residential and village business and kind of combining them and things like that. So, so that's, which I thought was a really good idea. Again, not getting into the weeds here, I just think it's a good idea.
Okay. Does this action item kind of align with what he was saying? So that's, it's okay to keep it as it is?
Yep, keep it as it is.
Don't strike it. Cool. The next goal kind of gets into more of the planning side of things and in community engagement. So encourage ongoing community involvement in housing planning. The first action item is to develop a housing production plan to establish a proactive strategy to address the town's housing goals. So housing production plans, they're approved by the state, they're 5-year strategic plans. You kind of essentially go through sort of the process we're going through now with the master plan, with having a committee, doing a survey, doing workshops, but it's just focused on housing needs, and you come out with a set of like really specific kind of housing goals. You identify sites for new housing development, any zoning changes, things like that. It's a good way to get the community like kind of really involved as well.
The only thing I don't like is state approved. Getting the state involved in our businesses. Let them run their own business, not ours.
They can't do that either.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's more like the town's plan, and then the state just signs off on it at the end. They have kind of a structure that they want to see, so it's, all the data and stuff, and then the goals.
This paragraph, specific recommendations that help the town work towards achieving a 10% affordable housing. We'll do that on our own. We don't need them to tell us. Look what they're doing to the MBTA communities. The towns are fighting tooth and nail right now.
Having one in place can also help.
Giving you the funding to plan for doing it on your own.
Thank God we don't have rail.
Anymore.
If you have an HPP plan and it's accepted, the town runs it. And it becomes, if you build, it tells you what percentage of affordable housing you have to build, might be a handful of units in the course of a year in our case, and then you become certified. That's what they call safe harbor, and you're not subject to 40B planning. Someone can apply for a comprehensive permit. It can still go to the ZBA, but we can be denied by the town because we have a plan. We don't have to accept a 40B.
That's a temporary safe haven. I think it lasts a year.
Yeah.
And then after a year, you have to show that you produce the units that you promise, and then you can maintain your safe haven if you do that.
Yes.
And how do you produce these units? The town doesn't have any money to build anything.
That's a good question.
Whether it's a partnership with the developer, one or two units, quid pro quo in the zoning planning, we'll give you this if we...
There are different methods to do that.
I don't think you're allowed to quid pro quo, can you? I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, it's called waivers.
Okay.
And I'm not a fan, but...
Density bonuses.
Put it in black and white, right?
Don't we have density?
Like, you might fail at holding your safe harbor status, like you might not get those like 2% units or whatever, but at least you had safe harbor for like a period of time. It gives you the option to fulfill it so that you can have safe harbor for a bit of time. If you lose it, you lose it, but otherwise you're just going to be susceptible to 40B developments regardless. So.
Also, with the housing production plan, you get to work with me even more, so.
Why is that in there? You sure you want that in there? You sure you want that?
Nothing I want more.
I'll be out of here.
Oh, I should note, actually, we got funding to do a set of village center plans for, I think it was 3 or 4 towns, and East Douglas was included in that plan. So we're going to be kind of also transitioning into doing a lot of like community engagement, really focused on the town center. So I think I'm going to work on that. Carrie Salwa, who's some of you might be familiar with, is going to work on that. So we're going to kick that off pretty soon. Yeah, so hopefully have some workshops, invite business owners, residents, things like that.
Will that be here in this building, or?
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We just got the contract yesterday, so I'm just kind of learning about this. But yeah, it's exciting.
Awesome.
So.
That's what we discussed yesterday.
Yep. So yeah, it flows right into that.
Joe from Economic Development too, will probably be working on it, right?
Probably. Yeah, Joe too. So he was. Oh, actually, you didn't meet Joe because he was away. I had to present for him.
Oh yeah. That's,
yeah.
Or Bob and Joe. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, John. Yeah.
Well, all right, keep moving forward.
So this last one, establishing a committee.
Yes.
Rich, we have a housing committee, right? A housing trust?
Yes, housing authority.
A housing authority. So
is it manned though?
No, nobody on it.
But we have a...
I'm on it.
You are? He's trying really hard.
Rich
When was your last meeting?
He revitalized it.
We have a meeting first Monday of every month.
Okay.
So my question is, do we need another committee on top of that committee?
Probably
The
not.
housing authority just is in charge of the public housing units, right? A housing committee could be just all things housing in Douglas. It doesn't necessarily have to be public housing.
We don't have any public housing in Douglas. There's no public housing to manage.
Oh, okay. So what is the housing authority?
We do the other part of that. Try to
Okay.
encourage low, moderate income housing and senior
sounds like we
housing.
already have that.
In concert with planning and whomever.
So it sounds like that's already in place.
So this could be instead just focused on staffing it, like that could be the action item, it's getting people to man it. Not staff it, but like have volunteers on it.
Yeah, is there good representation on it, or is there a lot of vacancies?
There are 5 seats, 3 are filled, and they're looking to fill the other 2. It's kind of interesting the way it's set up. 1 is appointed by the governor. 1 is supposed to be a tenant representative, but we don't have public housing, so you can apply for a waiver. And 3 are appointed by the elected, or appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So we have 3 of 5 right now.
So it sounds like the committee already does that, so it's just that a lot of these towns too have difficulty getting volunteers for, we have a lot of openings and Douglas isn't alone, so establishing a new committee, if we have openings on current committees, I think we're better off working with the existing committee and making it, if we need to make it more active or publicize.
What's the committee called? What is it?
Housing Authority, Douglas Housing Authority.
So action item, support the housing authority in its efforts to address housing and affordability. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I think part of the reason we didn't have that on here is because if I go to the town's website, I don't think I'll see a, okay, they do have some information on here, yeah. But, okay.
And John, I know you're going to love this statement. If you get appointed to this housing committee, you can't serve on the ag.
Oh, don't. Tried.
I know you.
I supported
We're on the last page with 10 minutes left, and you do that.
All right, so we'll change that one to support.
Yes, moving on.
Support the housing authority in efforts to address housing and affordability.
And you need to change the text that follows. It says
Yeah.
as of 25, there is no committee.
Yeah, we'll do like a little description of what the housing authority does and maybe some of the issues and.
Trying to make it all like blend together. Yeah.
Perfect. The next one is establish a municipal affordable housing trust fund with an active board of trustees. This is an interesting one. It seems a little down the line because you would need funds to actually capitalize the housing trust fund.
Explore
So-
establishment.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's
So
one
we'll make-
definitely
That's
explore.
that word again, we like that one.
So remember, this is a 20-year plan, so 15 years or so from now, there might be enough people or enough
To do it.
things to go on and do it. So leaving it in, I don't think will hurt it. It doesn't say we have to do it.
Yeah.
It's just something there for that possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
But Bob, you said strike
Explore this.
establish and then
Yeah.
replace it with explore.
Explore the
Yeah.
establishment of a municipal housing.
Yeah.
Fine with that. Oh, that's the it. Okay, we made it through there. Anything we're kind of missing here? So we've got kind of like staffing and, community capacity to plan for housing. We've got zoning and regulation things. What about like building like partnerships with, existing private developers, like public-private relationships, things like that. Like what you've done kind of on the economic development side, but might be more for housing.
Yeah, it's funny, because having talked to developers about housing, like a subdivision in Rutland and the major developer who's proposing it, I asked him, it was a duplex development, I said, would you consider changing it and making some affordability component? He's like, no, there's not enough money in it, so it's a tricky thing because developers are always looking to maximize their profit, and with no offense to developers, that's what they're in business for, but they're not going to do the town any favors if it affects their bottom line in most cases.
Well, they're not going to build something that they're going to sell for less than what it costs them to put up.
Correct.
There needs to be incentives
Yes.
for the developers
And the only
to
incentive
do that kind of work.
is density.
Yeah. Density bonuses, yeah.
That's-
Allowing more units than you would normally allow, to allow them to make up for that profit that they're.
Well, when was the last time they even approved a duplex in Douglas?
Right. Which is odd.
do not approve.
Bob and I were talking about that, and according to the building code, duplexes and single families are the same thing. They're considered one and the same. So why aren't duplexes allowed or built in Douglas?
Because the planning board will don't vote for them. That's what it comes down
Uh-oh.
to. They vote
Get me
them
going.
down. So that's why.
No, a lot of it has to do with the neighborhood that they're going in and what the neighbors and the roadways will allow and accept. So that's all I'm going to say on that.
It usually
I'd be
isn't
happy
the
to look at
roadways,
them.
It's the neighbors.
Be happy to look at them.
Yeah.
Because.
Oh, yeah, we're happy to look at them.
Sure.
Yeah.
For instance, in Rutland,
We've
there is
looked
a
at
provision that if you can have duplex lots, if you have 1.5 times the acreage that is normally allowed in that zoning district, so long as you have the space, they allow duplex. So something we could look at, potentially.
Oh, yeah.
Tweaking our zoning bylaws to allow duplexes.
Well, we did allow duplexes, and then they made them by special permit.
Right.
And then they've never given out, as far as I know, any special permits.
Well, I'm talking about potentially looking at the possibility of allowing duplexes not by special permit, by something a little bit lesser, maybe.
All right, are we good with population and housing for the time being? And what's our window, Emily? I know I always ask you this, but this is going to be, sealed and finished at some point. So what kind of window do we have in terms of input?
My schedule here. I would say by, mid-February, we really want to have all of the chapters tightened up because that's when we send it to our in-house kind of specialty editor. She's great. She catches every little thing. Thanks, Rich. So I would like to have the chapters ready by mid-February. So, you have that amount of time, but don't forget about it. If you have edits, please send them to me, or anything you want to bring up in the next meeting as like a discussion topic, maybe that we didn't cover.
What chapters do we have remaining that we haven't addressed yet? Are there any?
All of them.
Oh.
Well, for the full chapters.
Right.
Yeah. So next meeting, I was a little ambitious and I put 2 chapters on. I'm going to see if I'm going to reevaluate that. I was using this as kind of a test meeting to see how fast we could get
I know
through
most
it.
people here probably don't watch The Big Bang Theory, but we could have a deterrent for going on tangents and put duct tape up people's arms. On a tangent and rip it off. Here you go.
So definitely the next meeting, we'll be talking about transportation again.
Okay.
And then possibly also town facilities and services.
Could have a buzzer.
Yeah. Well, I'll also make sure to send the chapters out like more ahead of time too, to give you more time to like kind of digest it and come prepared with any questions and stuff. If that helps. Yeah. The only thing I had left is, so I was talking to my colleague who's writing the economic development chapter, and he wanted to hear more from like the businesses and the business owners. So you're trying to figure out a way to like get their input more about like what can be improved in the downtown or here at town hall, maybe like permitting guides, things like that. So we came up with like a draft survey that we could just mail out to the businesses, or I was thinking about maybe going to the holiday stroll and talking to some businesses there. So I printed out like a draft kind of copy of this, so feel free to take a look. I don't know if we have time to like go over it now.
Well, if you're soliciting these gift certificates from businesses, you can kill 2 birds.
There you go.
Yeah.
Holiday stroll, I don't know if that would be the time to try and do both.
Are they going to be super busy?
Super busy.
Okay, so maybe that's not it.
I would prefer to be able to take this back and kind of digest it before we start discussing it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, a lot of reading here. Good stuff,
Yeah, you're more the bigger stuff.
So by
Cool. So we'll
consent,
just talk about this at the next meeting then.
okay.
That sounds good.
That's what I was going to ask the committee. It's okay with you, we'll just pick it up.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Anything else, Emily, or?
Oh, done talking.
Okay. John?
No.
All right.
No. I've
I
done
have
enough
a-
damage tonight.
Couple things. The right to farm bylaw did pass.
Oh, wow.
At town meeting, so we don't need that in the master plan.
Yeah, we'll start
Along with the Ag Commission, that also did pass.
What margin was it?
Like 300.
374 to 137.
Yeah. That was a record town meeting.
Yeah.
And also, I was watching the selectmen's meeting last night, and we had acquired a big parcel of land that is on Gilboa Street. And we own like a part of it's a parking lot right across the street from the big mill that's there. And I guess they got from CMRPC a $50,000 grant
Yeah.
to do a conceptual park?
Yes.
Parking, or how to
Part of
improve
the meetings,
improve that area, so
There's a group of residents that's been working on that.
that can be part of our Mumford River Walk.
Very possible. One end of it.
I'll
Yeah,
actually be
one
working
end.
on that project too.
That's a 22
As we're
acre.
not getting rid of us.
I heard Sam say something.
Watching that thing for months.
I think Sam said he's going to be working on that.
Yeah, I'm going to be working on that.
Oh, good.
Just signed the MOU.
But there's one parcel, 45.1, which we don't have, which is where all that brick and glass is dumped. We don't.
Yes, we
have to
don't
get
want
through-
that.
Well, we do, because we want to get through that to get for this river walk. all the
That
way.
is I was on conservation when they blew the top off that. There was this much oil and grease floating,
Floating.
and it was a hazardous waste site.
Well, we can't get from the parking lot to our
You'll
big parcel.
you'll have to bridge over it.
Bridge over.
You can,
But that is a
you
hazardous
can
waste
pave over
site.
it.
And at the time, I was
I
told
think by
by,
law, you can pave over it.
I was told by
parking lot.
some
Yeah, you
people,
can pave over it as a parking lot.
But you can't get from the parking lot to the piece we just got, because there's...
So keep paving, you pave over it.
Pave over
It's all
the hazardous waste?
Is it?
It's all wetland. We'd have to bridge it.
What's there?
Right.
when did
have to get
wetlands
around.
ever stop anyone?
I'm telling you.
Northbridge just did that nice bridge.
Yeah,
Oh, I know.
That
that's
water
right.
bridge.
But
That's everything.
If it's contaminated, you don't want to disturb it, you encapsulate it and put something
You
in.
cap it, you pave it. Yeah.
Built by the GBI.
But anyway, I was told by some people on the Conservation Commission that that used to be the town dump for this section of Douglas, was that.
They paved over the US Steel mill and stuff like that, where Walmart is, guess what? You can pave over anything. The US
Yeah.
Steel mill can be cleaned up and worked on.
Yeah.
Any place in the state of Massachusetts can be cleaned up and worked on.
But if
So, I know.
you saw it, you wouldn't want it. I saw it.
So do we have any final questions, comments, considerations, or anything you'd like to bring up at the last minute?
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded. By Michael, seconded by Rebecca. All in favor?
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.